Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Veteran Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Mission 6 and it's called Manhunt. This is a pretty interesting mission that has a couple of moments that you're probably going to fail on your first playthrough. You're going to fail them more because of the game than yourself, because it's surprisingly strict considering it's a mechanic you've never done in the game and you'll never do it again. And if you don't know who the person is, you're going to scan a few people and it's going to fail you, which is what happens. But the guy you need is the generically looking Persian-esque, that guy, him. Find him, and if you scan him, it'll allow you to get to this sequence, which I've sped along, I've trimmed the fat, and we're going to be doing some shooting. So for the sniping sequence on this, if you know where the enemies are, it's very simple. If you don't, it can be quite tricky. And then the point afterwards, it's all going to be about understanding spawns, understanding, sorry, when you're safe, when you're not safe, and rushing checkpoints effectively. I've got a pretty decent path through it, and hopefully it'll stop anybody from having too many problems with it, which I don't think you will, because it's pretty simple stuff. But in the last video, I was discussing a tangent. I'm going to continue now. If you're the type of person that enjoys walkthroughs that do nothing but talk about what's happening on screen, you're probably not going to like my channel too much, and you're probably not going to enjoy the rest of this video. So as much as it saddens me that, that's not to your tastes, unfortunately, it is to mine. So I was talking about Ubisoft, and I was talking about how they pissed away my goodwill when they started pumping out Assassin's Creeds, like they were Octomum on benefits. And it really saddened me. But the point I was making on the previous video is there are still people that love that franchise, and they're happy and they're getting tons of it, which, if you love a franchise and they're pumping out a game reliably of the same or equal quality every year, it can be a fantastic thing if you continue to love it. I have a bad attention span. I'm terrible. I could probably never be a professional gamer because I couldn't play one game for years. I just can't do it. I'm at the point where when I get really into something, I play it and I play it, and I play it almost until I stop liking it anymore, and then I have to move on, or I'll just sour my memories of it. And it's this weird thing that I do. So as much as I really respect people who can put in that kind of dedication to get good at one single game or one single franchise and, continuously play it and just keep on refining and getting that ultimate performance, that's not really who I am. I struggle to do that. I find that very difficult. And I get bored. I do. I can't help it. My brain moves at 1,000,000 seconds. In a second. It's just 1,000,000 miles per hour all the time, constantly thinking of stupid, weird bullshit. And I'm the same when I'm playing games. If I realise I'm doing the same thing, and the same thing that I'm doing isn't satisfying me, I need to do something different. And a lot of the times, there are other games that you can just pick up and stuff. Sometimes all your games feel like that, so you have to, go watch some films or read a book or do whatever it is you like to do away from gaming. Like, I'm going to be spending some time with my girlfriend because her parents are away, and I will not be taking any consoles to her house. I'll just be taking my laptop, and we'll probably watch a bunch of, shitty TV, and we'll just get to be close and sit and lounge about and eat good food and drink and be merry and things. And it's a really nice recharge for somebody who, especially at this moment in time, is balls deep in releases, covering them to make YouTube videos. And there's a lot of stuff to make. I'm pulling some pretty stupid antisocial hours, but I don't mind because I enjoy it. But back on the tangent anyway. I get bored of them, so when they keep pumping these sequels out, to me it just gets worse and worse and worse. And if it was something like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta, I'd probably be able to put up for it for longer, but I'd still get to the point where I wish they'd stop. And it's like that with a few games. Like, at this moment in time, there's a lot of rumours about speculating the next God of War, and to me, I think the best God of War would be one that was never made, because I think they have a fantastic body of work, they have great mechanics, they should move on to something else. And even if the thing that they make is essentially God of War, but called something different, but with very similar mechanics, then I think that's still an improvement, because they've done that to death at this point. They've done it so well, there's nowhere left to go. They've just done it. And it's the same with a lot of stuff. It's the reason I think why the Devil May Cries and the Zeldas and games like that can continuously be released and not get bored, because they're always being changed. They're always being warped in some way. You know, Devil May Cry 1 established it, 2 ruined it, made it weird, 3 brought it back, 4 introduced a new character that was contrary to the entire game, DMC completely put a spin on the mechanics and get it this like modern rock nonsense going on. It was constantly changing and drastically different. And that was lacking in God of War, which is the reason why I think it needs to move on. And then there's things like Assassin's Creed where they're all the fucking same now. They're like this. You know, as much as I enjoy these frivolous campaigns, you can't give this game a 9. You can't. It's a fantastically well-made game, but it's literally the exact same as a game I played in 2007. The only difference being is the game in 2007 was better. It doesn't make any sense to me how they can keep on praising the same thing. You know, it's like we have this selective memory. And don't get me wrong, I don't think this is a bad game. I just don't think it deserves to be lauded as this amazingly new thing when it isn't. It's essentially an expansion pack, and for people who aren't old enough to remember those, they took pre-existing games on PC and added assets to them which were essentially the precursor to DLC, and they sold them as almost separate games. Like, everybody remember Blue Shift for Half-Life? Where you got to play as, I think, the police? Like, or the security sector or whatever it was? It's crazy, and bringing it all the way back now to the Tangent's beginning, where Sledgehammer Games never stood a chance, because people were already getting tired when they entered here. And I honestly believe that because this is such a winning formula for sales, it doesn't matter if you like it, it doesn't matter if it's critically successful, it sells. The commercial factor is massive. So I don't think any studio can come in and change it for the better, because if they do, they might affect that sale. And if they affect that sale, it's not going to be this entity, this monster that it is, and thus they're going to change it back. So the saddest part about this game is everything they've done to change it, a la the movement, the exosuit, is going to be completely missing from the next game that Treyarch make. Because they're developing that game right now. It's not going to have boosts, it's not going to have double jumps. For all we know, it could be under fucking water and we could all be mermaids. It's not going to keep these mechanics. These mechanics mean nothing. So there's a 12-month lifespan on these innovations, and I use the word innovations lightly because all they've really done is copy fucking Titanfall. And next year, it doesn't even matter. It's like it never existed. And it's this thing of, the more things change, the more they stay the same, because they have to stay the same to continue doing what they're doing. And Activision has a lot of experience with this. They ruined Tony Hawk. They ruined Guitar Hero. You know, they are fantastic at ruining franchises. And the problem is, this is so crack addictive that people, I don't know, it feels to me like every game that comes out, there's a new generation of kids playing it. There are people growing up into Call of Duty where every new Call of Duty is their first, and all of them have a million fucking friends who shouldn't own the game, all have mics, all have the confidence to speak on mics, yet they don't even have a voice that's fucking microphone worthy. And it's this bizarre cycle of, how will we ever improve if we can constantly keep doing the same thing? And I think this is a great game, I do. I think it's a very fun game. I think the multiplayer is interesting, but it's not to my tastes. But I don't want to keep playing it. And once I've done this guide, and I've messed around in that co-op mode, I'll probably trade this in. And this is the first Call of Duty that I've done that to, because it just doesn't hold my attention now. I need something else. And there's a lot of people who feel like I feel years ago. Like, Modern Warfare 2 was too much for them. They're like, hey, we're done now, let's do something else. And how long does it take until that happens to everybody? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? And I know I keep, you know, driving this point home, but it's pretty damn important, so thus it must be said. They have 3 teams doing this now. 3 fucking teams doing the same thing. And I love to insult EA. Insulting EA to me is too easy, you know. It's like a disabled person if you're an evil person. It's just too easy. And EA, I can't even give them that much shit because they still only have 1 team doing each of their whorish franchises. And sure, you know, there's more realistic grass and sweat mechanics and all this other bullshit that has nothing to do with pressing buttons and getting inputs. But they make 1 a year. And that 1 a year, yeah, it's kind of whorish. But but it's one a year. They don't have all these studios making different ones, because if they did, it might be more interesting. But they'd have to change. And a great example of change and conflict is Pro Evolution Soccer. So we're going back a few years here. But Konami used to be... It was called something else. What the fuck was it called now? Like, Pro Superstar Soccer or something daft? Like, it was back when the players didn't have the real names because they didn't have the licenses. But Konami had a football game with David Beckham and all these other players that no one's ever really heard of. Get it? And they kind of rallied with FIFA for top position. Then they turned into Pro Evo, and then they kind of took the lead because FIFA stagnated and never updated things and felt a little bit archaic, and Pro Evo felt spot on and progressive and new. And what ended up happening is they took the mantle for many years, and FIFA had to change. The competition between the two companies forced them to look at what they were doing and realizing that what they were doing wasn't enough. It needed to be different. And FIFA changed things. They continued to change and reiterate, and what happened? Now FIFA is king. FIFA is officially better than Pro Evo on a mechanical level because it works better. It's more fluid. It's more dynamic. And who knows? Maybe Konami are working right now on a new one and getting Pro Evo back on the whole. You know, we're winning again. Because I believe this most recent FIFA's the first one to not sell so good in a very long time. So even the fucking fans are getting tired of that. Which is, you know, it's one of those things, if you like it, you love it. If you don't, you get bored in seconds. But it's still only one gamer, one team, one game, I assume. You know, one team doing basketball, one team doing hockey, one team doing, I don't know, fucking happy sack. Like, how many sports are there? It's ridiculous. But gaming isn't a sport, is it, lads? Because it doesn't involve, you know, pulling your fucking hamstring. Unless you sit down funny. But COD has 3 studios. 3 studios making the same game on the same engine. And I can't see how this survives, personally. To me, all they're doing is digging a grave at this point. Like, the only thing they can do even worse is have 2 a year. Because if you have 2 a year, you will quickly run out of the goodwill that is left. And who knows, maybe, you know, Black Ops 2 comes out next year, or sorry, Black Ops 3 or whatever they're doing. You know, Black Future, you know, Black, I don't know, something black. Black people everywhere! You know, they could do Spartacus or, you know, Chariots of Fire, but with guns. A pseudo-scientific future where things were different. But Treyarch are going to make a game, and maybe they make the equivalent of Call of Duty 4. Maybe they change something so simple, so obvious, that it completely blows it out of the water and everything is different and everything is salvaged and everybody's in love with Call of Duty again. But I honestly don't think you can do that. And bringing it back to Ubisoft, Ubisoft know better, and that's what makes me sad. But the problem is, they're too popular at this moment in time. People are too willing to buy these fucking Assassin's titles when effectively all they are is GTA with robes. That's it. That's all it is. It's like Dubai edition of GTA. That's what that game is. And Prince of Persia got 3 games. 3 fantastic games. All great in different reasons. As I very, very, very close to dying at this point. And then they stopped when it transitioned to next gen because they put all their efforts into Assassin's Creed. And then there was almost this hopefulness of me that when Watch Dogs came out, it was going to be next gen only, none of that current gen bullshit trying to get all the money they can. And that they would stop with Assassin's Creed, but they're doing too well. So now the only thing is Division. And I think the way Division is, I don't think it can be the next replacement franchise. I just don't think it can, as we see a lovely mid-level load there. Happens quite a lot on the 360. This is a game that's not designed for it. You know, it takes a big hit in visuals to stay relevant and stay functional. Buy it on next gen or PC. Simple. But Prince of Persia stopped when it was great. And then they brought back that kind of new one, which was completely different. It was too easy, admittedly. You couldn't really die on that game, which I thought was bizarre, considering that on those first 3, you died a lot, because they were really difficult. And they let it go when it was great, just like Futurama did, you know. Just like I think King of the Hill did the similar thing. Family Guy got cancelled, but it got cancelled at a good point, and then it came back, and then I fell out of love with it because it wasn't the same for me. They ended on a high, you know. They didn't stick around and soil the memory. They're not holograms of fucking Tupac re-releasing new albums so all his family can get rich off his fucking legacy, which I think is disgusting, absolutely disgusting. I just don't understand how people. It's like J.R.R. Tolkien. The dude's been dead. That were a firework, by the way, folks. I apologise for fireworks. Apparently, people are so fucking overflowed by the explosives that they have to just do it all the time post-firework night. Like, come on, guys. Bonfire night was like 4 days ago. I know you've got your big catalogue of fireworks that you didn't get a chance to rip off because you were too busy having sex with your sister, but come on, bros. I'm trying to talk. But yeah, Tolkien. The dude's been dead for, what, 2 million years? And his family are still writing books in his fucking name. Like, this is a side plot that happened during this part of the second book on the 3rd weekend before the after day. Like, it's the dumbest shit ever, and they're just whoring people's names. And I disagree with that, personally. I mean, I just don't like it. That's all you can say. I've cast my die. But Ubisoft got rid of a franchise while it was strong, and I wish more people had the elegance to do that and move on to something new. But the biggest problem with the industry at this moment is new IPs are terrifying because they're unfounded and they don't know if they're going to sell, and sequels are guaranteed, and you don't even really have to do much. Like, the next Call of Duty could literally have you being the ejector lever on a rifle, and people would still buy it. Even though all you did is sat there and you pressed A to eject a bullet every time somebody fired, so it literally turned into international track and field, and only people with turbo pads who were shit at tapping could play. And people would still buy it. As long as that multiplayer was there, and everybody's running around tapping fucking A, because they're all pretending that something important's happening. But that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.